after picture, you can see the athletes lined up for the next event on the track. It is the men's 100 metres. A good mix of age and experience in this, a brace of 21-year-olds and 4 men over 30. And the fastest 2 men in the world this year go here. This is Jeff Erios of France, your silver medalist in the European Junior Championships 100 back in 2021. His best of 9.98 came last year. He's never broken 21 for 200. He's a big fella, 6'2". Kyrie King, semi-finalist at the World Championships 200 back in 2017, struggles to get into US teams. 5 times he's broken 10 seconds, but only 6th in the Doha 200 last Saturday. He goes in 2. There's Omanyala, Commonwealth champion in Birmingham 3 years ago, remember. Bubbly character, Omanyala, from Kenya. Very fast starter. Been in mixed form, though. 2nd in China and then 9th in China earlier on last month. Fred Kerley, one of those few athletes who's broken 10 seconds for 100, 20 seconds for 200 and 44 for 400. He won here back in 2023, and that 9.94 is still the meeting record. He's the Olympic bronze medalist from last year. There's Simbine, the fastest man in the world this year. 4th in the Olympic Games last year, the South African. He was bronze medalist at the World Indoors in Nanjing back in March. I call him the nearly man. He's had so many performances where he's finished 4th and 5th in major championships. That's Tebogo, the Olympic 200-meter champion. He holds the national records and, in fact, the African record for 100 and 200. But hasn't been under 10 seconds yet this year, the former footballer. He goes in 6th, the Botswanan. Emmanuel Aseme of Cameroon, All-Africa Games champion last year. And only 3 times under 10 seconds, a couple of times in 23, once last year. Hasn't broken 10 seconds yet this year, Aseme. He's in 7. Brandon Hicklin, the world number 2, goes in lane 8. The American ran leg 4 for the USA at the World Relays 2 weeks ago when they took the silver medal in the 4x100. And 5th in Grand Slam track in Miramar a couple of weeks back over 100 and 200. That was 3 weeks ago, actually. And then Sean Maswanganyi of South Africa completes the lineup in lane 9. Only 7th in Doha over 220.7 last Saturday. But I think he's got big potential at 200. Coached by Carl Lewis, by the way. Maswanganyi there, nearest the camera to write a picture. Plenty of dignitaries in this packed-out stadium. I've never seen it so full here. All my years coming to this meeting. Simbine, by the way, in fabulous areas. Simbine goes in lane 5 in the all-red. He won both Diamond League 100s so far this year at the 2 Chinese meeting. He's in fabulous form, the fastest man in the world this season, Simbine, with 9.90. His lifetime best, 9.82, came at the Paris Games last year when he just missed out on the medals. He was 4th in Paris, 4th in Tokyo Games, and back in 2016 in Rio. That's why I call him the nearly man, and there's been several other 4ths and 5ths. But watch this: Omanyala in 3, Kerley in 4, Simbine in 5, Tebogo, the Olympic champion at 200, in 6, 4th from left. I thought there was a little twitch there from but he gets away with it, going really well. Omanyala at the moment. Omanyala 3rd from the top, easing away. Simbine 2 looking strong through the second half. Simbine the strongest. Omanyala 2nd, and between them, Fred Kerley 9.95, and with a very slight following wind. That is great running, very, very crisp running indeed. Some 14 men have broken 10 seconds this year, and Omanyala, well, he led the first half, probably led through to about 60, but I think it was Simbine who came through to take that.
Yeah, very good. He's been in great form, hasn't he? Continuing it, as you said, Tim. And you know, it's just always a question of whether he takes it through. And I mean, world champs for everybody, long way away in September. But right now, he is beating everybody else. Omanyala, 100% right. You got a great start. Fred Kerley got left. Tebogo looked a little bit lethargic for me, and just adds to what I didn't think was a great run necessarily in Doha. The 200 is best event, obviously, but he's normally better than this. Just doesn't look sharp at all, Tebogo. So this point, though, Simbine has just got that momentum. Kerley comes back into it over the last 20 meters, but Simbine the more all-rounded sprinter at the minute. Just gets up to good speed fairly quickly, maybe not out of the blocks as quick as Omanyala. We know how fast he is over that first 20-25 meters, but never manages to quite maintain in the same way that his African counterpart did. So South Africa cheering on Simbine, I'm sure. 9.95, just a hundredth outside the meeting record.
Yeah, but winning by a tenth of a second.
9.95 seconds. Winning margin of a tenth, roughly one full stride at top speed. That is the difference Akani Simbine put between himself and an elite field in Rabat. Not through raw velocity alone, through something more measurable and more repeatable. That is what this breakdown is about. Simbine came in carrying the fastest time in the world this season, 9.90 seconds. But world leads mean nothing if you cannot convert them under pressure. The field in Rabat was not soft. Ferdinand Omanyala, the Commonwealth Games champion, one of the fastest 0 to 40 starters on the circuit. Fred Kerley, a man who has gone sub-10 for 100, sub-20 for 200, and sub-44 for 400, a physiological outlier. Tebogo, reigning Olympic 200-meter champion, expected to challenge in the 100 as his speed over the longer event pointed to stronger top end. On paper, Simbine was the favorite. On the track, favorites get beaten all the time. The strangest part? Simbine did not have the fastest start, not even close. Omanyala owns the first 30 meters of almost every race he enters. Here, he clocked a reaction time of approximately 0.135 seconds off the blocks and was already showing clear daylight by the 20-meter mark. His acceleration profile is genuinely unusual. Stride frequency through the drive phase that peaks close to 5.1 steps per second, achieved while his body angle is still steep, around 45 degrees from horizontal. Most sprinters sacrifice frequency for power output in the drive phase. Omanyala does not. That is why he leads early and leads decisively. Simbine's reaction came in at approximately 0.142 seconds. Controlled, not slow, but not the explosive twitch Omanyala produced. Through 30 meters, Simbine was third. Through 40 meters, still third. Most analysts watching live assumed the race would break open in Omanyala's favor at this point. It did not. Here is why. That extreme early phase frequency carries a cost. To hold stride rate above 4.9 steps per second through 40 meters, Omanyala's ground contact time runs longer than a technically optimal maximum velocity sprinter. Longer ground contact in the drive phase helps acceleration, but delays the transition to the upright mechanics that generate top speed. By 60 meters, his stride frequency was dropping toward 4.4 steps per second, while stride length was not expanding to compensate. His velocity curve peaked early and flattened. Simbine's curve was different. His transition to full upright running happened between 35 and 42 meters, and once he hit maximum velocity, estimated at approximately 11.7 meters per second, his stride length settled around 2.42 meters with a contact time closer to 0.085 seconds. Short ground contact, high force per stride, full extension through the hip. That combination is what mechanically efficient 100-meter running looks like. Most people assume the sprinter leading at 60 meters wins. The evidence from this race says otherwise. At 60 meters, Omanyala held a margin of approximately 0.05 seconds over Simbine, roughly 0.6 meters in real distance. Kerley sat third, his mechanics showing a conservative start. Drive phase longer than usual. Block clearance angle closer to 40 degrees rather than his optimal 38. Transition to upright running slightly delayed. Tebogo, whose name had dominated pre-race analysis, was already losing ground. His 200-meter mechanics, built for a longer stride cycle, lower peak frequency, and a velocity curve that crests later and holds longer, were not suited to the short explosive demand of the 100. Through 60 meters, he was clocking an estimated stride frequency of 4.25 steps per second. Well below the 4.6 to 4.8 range, that characterizes elite 100-meter specialists at top speed. The event was exposing a genuine mechanical mismatch. A 200-meter champion running 100 meters is not running the same race at a shorter distance. The biological systems recruited are different. The neuromuscular firing patterns are different. Tebogo's result, 9th, 10.43 seconds, was not a collapse. It was a tax. Here is the take that will get some pushback. Tebogo in the 100 is not a medal threat at the world level, regardless of what he does at 200 meters. His stride architecture is optimized for a different event. Until his 100-meter specific drive mechanics improve, the gap between him and Simbine will stay structural, not incidental. Between 60 and 80 meters, Simbine closed the entire deficit to Omanyala and moved ahead. Biomechanists call this the speed maintenance window. The question is never who reaches top speed. Everyone in a Diamond League final does. The question is who decelerates least. Simbine's recorded velocity at 80 meters was approximately 11.6 meters per second, within 0.1 meters per second of his peak. Omanyala had dropped to approximately 11.1. Kerley, despite his slow start, was still accelerating through this window, a sign that his late transition to upright mechanics, costly in the early phases, left his neuromuscular system fresher for the back half. He finished third in 9.95, the same time as Simbine to the 100th, but the photo finish separated them clearly. What this race teaches applies to every 100 meters you will ever watch. Velocity at 60 meters is not predictive. Deceleration rate from 60 to 100 meters is. Omanyala is a 60-meter threat. Simbine is a 100-meter threat. The distance matters. One detail that stuck from rewatching the finish frame. Simbine's lean showed a forward hip displacement of approximately 8 centimeters. Textbook dip execution, transferring mass across the line at exactly the right moment. In races decided by hundredths, that lean is the margin. Next time you watch an elite 100 meters, ignore the gun reaction. Ignore the 30-meter split. Watch the 60 to 80-meter window. Who is still accelerating? Who has already started fading? That stretch tells you the real result before the finish line arrives. Did the fastest starter lose because of physics or because of preparation? Drop your answer in the comments. If this kind of breakdown changes how you watch sprinting, subscribe. Every video here goes deeper than the result. We are building the analytical layer the broadcast does not give you.